As the calendar turns to 2025, it's natural to look back on the year that was and maybe hope for a better one ahead. So 'tis a season for resolutions. And joining me to understand everything you need to know about your end of year goals is psychologist, author, and speaker, Dr. Brian Licuanan. Thank you so much for being here, Doctor.
Good to see you.
So when it comes to New Year's resolutions, I know these are so hard to make and keep. I have trouble with this. Why is it so hard for people to stick to resolutions and achieve them? And can you also talk about the difference between making resolutions versus setting goals?
Yeah, very, very important topic that I have with a lot of my clients, especially the last 3 to 4 months of the year. And I'm glad you bring that up because there is a difference between resolutions and goals. What happens with resolutions, New Year's resolutions, is we make this really big event on January 1st that something big is going to happen, something major is going to happen. And the challenge with that is, what I find with a lot of people, is that they create these habits, these routines leading up to that January 1st date. And what happens is that they've got so entrenched with a particular way of behaving, routine, or habits that it is hard to make those changes come January 1st. And the difference between that and goals is what I like to do, and what I try to help people do, is start your goals early on, for example, and come January 1st, you are taking that goal to the next level or already gaining momentum. And so you get a lot of people who January 1st is a big time for their sobriety date, for example. They're going to stop drinking alcohol or engaging in a substance. They're going to completely stop smoking cigarettes, or they're going to start eating healthy, or they're going to start going to the gym. And what happens is they kind of have their last hurrah in the weeks, days, months leading up to that January 1st date. And it's really difficult, and they get disappointed come January 1st when they sort of have a relapse on those behaviors that they were trying to lessen or eliminate.
And speaking of hopefully not relapsing, what are some of your tips for setting New Year's goals?
Well, when you set up goals, I think it's going to be really important to, number one, is to make goals that are achievable, that are really measurable, and that are tangible. A lot of times people set these really grandiose goals and they're not specific enough. For example, I want to lose weight. I want to eat healthier. And they don't have these specific goals. And then when you set up these small little goals leading up to the big target goal, then we can get a sense of feeling of success. And that leads to what we call self-efficacy, which is a belief that one can be successful. So, and then write them down. We got to write down these goals, look at them in the morning and at night. And the more we write things down and rehearse them, the more likely we can manifest those in our behaviors.
And you know, it's been a rough start to the year already for some, with the New Orleans attack and Vegas explosion taking place New Year's Day. And there may be a lot of change coming, especially with the new presidential administration coming in. What advice do you have for people who may have some anxiety about this year and how to manage that?
Yeah. Well, one thing I really, really encourage people to do, and this was prior to all these events as well, is really, really manage how much they take in. You know, our brains can only take so much mentally and emotionally. And sometimes we got to step away from social media, sometimes the news, and not get so involved with it, because it can really, really drain our emotional and mental batteries. And so that's one thing I would tell people to do. And another thing too, as well, is with a lot of people with anxiety, a lot of anxiety is worried about things that are going to happen in the future. And research shows that 70% or more of what we're anxious about never actually comes into fruition. So recognizing what we can and cannot control is going to be really important. So what are the things we can't control? How we react to things, our emotions, and what we engage in, what we don't.
All right, all good tips. And before we let you go, are you making any resolutions for the new year?
I am. I'm a practice what I preach. And so, for example, for me, I'm adding eggs to my diet every once in a week. You know, doctors talk about the crucial benefits of eggs, but I've been trying to eat healthy all along. And so that's something I'm adding. I'm adding turmeric to my diet to help with inflammation. So, and work out a little bit more stretching, more yoga for myself to get a little bit more flexible as I get older.
All right, it's good inspiration. Psychologist, author, and speaker, Dr. Brian Licuanan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.